everyone, how are you doing today? I'm coming at you with a little bit of a celebration where I'm celebrating my 3rd anniversary on booktube. Where'd that time go? My actual anniversary is in March, but I've decided I'm going to celebrate it now, and I'm also going to turn this into a little bit of a reading challenge to get me through to the end of the year. I was inspired to do this video when I was watching Clumsy Charlott's video where she's just celebrated her 2nd anniversary, so happy anniversary, and it's been absolutely amazing getting to know you, Charlotte. Go check her channel out, she's awesome. And she does really, really cool videos, and she puts a level of effort in that I can only ever aspire. But what she did is she went through the last year's worth of TBR videos and then looked at whether she had read the books or not for those readathons. And then she had punish prompts for ones that she hadn't read. And I'm going to do things slightly differently because I haven't consistently uploaded TBRs. And when I went through in the whole of my 3 years, I've only actually uploaded about 8 TBRs. But I'm going to go through all of them. And basically I'm going to, because they were years ago for some of these, I don't remember if I did read the book in that month. I remember some of them, but not all of them. So instead, I'm just going to go by, have I read it full stop, since I declared in that video that I was going to read it. So just having a look at, have I read the books that I said I was going to read? And for every 3 that I have not read, I am going to be drawing from this, and this contains a bunch of books that are either books that I know I've been putting off, or they're just ones that I'm intimidated by, or rereads that I need to get to and haven't so far. I've decided to add a little bit extra to this, that however many books I pull from this, I want to read in time for December the 1st. And for every book that I don't read, I will select one of my booktube buddies and they will be an extra person that I will gift for Christmas. So this could end up being very expensive for me and is definitely an incentive to get me to read and clear some of these books. So without further ado, let's get going. And we are kicking off with June 2019, which was when I declared my Ghibli-a-thon, readathon reading list, which was by JD Ray Reads, and I can't remember who the co-host was, but it was one of the best TBRs and it was one of the best challenges, and I really wish that they would do it again. And it was also my first intro to the magical readathon that Book Roast did, where back then it was the Harry Potter themed one, and it was my Owls TBR. So the first book we have is The Wind in the Willows. I did read that. The Last Wish by Andrzej Sapkowski, which is first book in the Witch series, I have read. Uprooted by Naomi Novik, I did read that, didn't enjoy it very much. Then Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Lenny Taylor, I read it, I did enjoy it until a certain point, and then I stopped enjoying it and haven't continued. Dark Shade of Magic, we all know that I have read that and I loved it. Then there was Believing in Fairies, which is a non-fiction book that I own that I have not read, so this is my first unread book. The final book on that list is The Girl from Ballymore by Kathleen McGurl, and I did read that. Next we have July 2019, which was the video that I did for my Newts Readathon TBR. And we started with Alice by Christina Henry, which I have read 3 times now and is one of my all-time favourite books. Followed by Red Queen, also by Christina Henry. I have read that. Then Ink by Alice Broadway. I didn't read it at the time, but I have read it since and I thought it was average. Then Spellslinger by de Castell. Spellslinger by Sebastian de Castell. That I liked the first book, didn't enjoy the second one, DNF the third, but I will go back and try again. Then there's The Watchmaker of Filigree Street. I did not read it back then, but I have read it since and I really did not enjoy it. City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. I DNF'd and I've decided that I'm not going to count DNFs as punishments. Then there was The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert, which I didn't read at the time and I only actually read it this year, but that is now a read book. Then there was The Cruel Prince. I read the first one, I DNF'd the second one, haven't gone back to it. Mad About the Hatter by Dakota Chase. Very short story, I didn't enjoy it, but it had some elements that were okay. Crown of Midnight, Sarah J Maas, have read. Then my second unread, but the first one that I have unread multiple times, and that is Illuminae by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. Then Temeraire by Naomi Novik, that I decided I wasn't going to read because I just wasn't interested. We have our first pick, which I will pick and show you guys before I see it. So I'm hoping it comes through okay and you can see it. That is Thorn by Intisar Kanani, which I am telling you actually comes up in this video. So that tells you already that I have not read that. But Thorn by Intisar Kanani. Two more books that were in the July 2019. We have Six of Crows, which I have read, and I absolutely loved it after hating the Shadow and Bone trilogy. The final one for that readathon was Need by Carrie Jones, which was a reread, so technically I have read it, but because it was a reread that I intended to read and then didn't read, I'm counting it as unread. And then I had a huge gap of like a year and a half, and the next TBR was my My Heroic TBR, which is my game that I've created based around My Hero Academia. First of all, Red Rising by Pierce Brown, which I have not yet read. Then Skullduggery Pleasant, book 1, which I have read, really loved. Then Namesake by Adrienne Young, which is book 2 in the Fable series, I have read. Followed by The Confectioner's Truth by Claire Luana, which I think was the final book. I have read it, but I didn't enjoy it. And then we have our second DNF, which was Anxiety, Panicking About Panic, and that was the final book for that TBR. So the next one was, I had another 6-month break, and then we had November 2021, which was the Reindeer Readathon, hosted by Break Even Books. For that, we started off with Monstrous by Marjorie Liu, which I did read. So yay, I'm doing so well. I thought I was going to do a lot worse. Oh, I say that, and then there's The Mermaid by Christina Henry, which I have not yet read, which means we're on our second pull from the jar. And got a thingy. Asking for a Friend by Andy Osho. I'm pretty sure that was an Amazon first reads that I got earlier in the year and then just haven't read. Story of My Life, get a book. Don't read it. What's next? Actual Age, Eve Brown, I have read. I love that series. I loved that book. It was my favourite in the series. For the Wolf by Hannah Witten, I have read. Crest by Marissa Meyer, third book in the Lunar Chronicles, I have read it. A Man and His Cat, I can't remember the author, is a manga that is absolutely freaking adorable. Everyone should read it. It's so cute. As I've already established, I have not read. We have Thorn by Intisar Kanani. Then we have All of Us Villains by Amanda Foody and Christine Lynn Herman even. I've only got the cover here because I'm currently rereading this and highlighting the bits that I didn't highlight last time. So I am annotating it. It was my last 5-star read of 2021. I loved it. The final book for that list was An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. I know I didn't read it at that time, but I have read it since and I quite enjoyed it. And then I had 3 months in a row where I uploaded TBRs, so that was a lovely thing to see, and I do plan on getting more consistent with that. So kickstarting January of 2022, started with Everless by Sarah Holland. I read this one. Then we have Fence Volume 1 by C.S. Pacat, which thoroughly enjoyed, have read, and will continue the series very soon. Then we have Kim Joo-young, born 1982 by Cho Nam-joo. I have not read that one. Then there was The Chosen Ones by Veronica Roth, which I didn't read. I did read, sorry, but I really wish I didn't. Traitor's Blade, so the second book by Sebastian de Castell. Unlike Spellslinger, I absolutely adore this series. Then Winter by Marissa Meyer, which is the final book in the Lunar Chronicles. Absolutely loved it. Ugh, chef's kiss, 5 stars. Next up was Splintered by A.G. Howard. I have not read it, which means our third pull. Queen of Snow by Laura Burton and Jessie Cal. And that concludes the January TBR, so moving on to February's TBR. And we start with Angel Fall by Susan E.E. This is a reread. I didn't get to it, so it counts as unread. Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. 2 pages in, I DNF'd that one. We then have The Bright and the Pale by Jessica Rubinkovsky. Haven't read. Then we have A Heart So Fierce and Broken and A Vow So Bold and Deadly by Bridget Kemmerer. I read A Heart So Fierce and Broken. I kind of liked it. It was okay. but I have since decided to DNF the series. I'm not going to finish it. So I did not read A Vow So Bold and Deadly, which again means our next pull. Oh, Legendborn by Tracy Dion, which is a reread that I want to do. We then have another unread, which is Our Violent Ends, the second book in Chloe Gong's These Violent Delights. Then there's The Night Raven by Sarah Painter, which again is an unread. And finally, for February 2022, we have Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa, which again is an unread, which means it's draw number 5 from the jar. Full Disclosure by Cameron Garrett, which has been on my TBR about 7 times. So hopefully this time, maybe I'll get it. We then have the final list, I think. No, there's a couple more. So March 2022, Vengeful V. Schwab, read. Playing with Fire, second book in Skullduggery Pleasant, I read and enjoyed. Then Weird Sisters, Terry Pratchett, I read. He's an author that I really want to like, but for some reason just can't. Then Air Rise by CC Panara, I have not read. Followed by The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman, which I have not read. Next up is graphic novel When Stars Are Scattered. I quite like this one. I gave it, I think, a 4-star. So it was a pretty solid read, good middle grade graphic novel. Then is Fables Volume 2. I have not read, which means it's time for another draw. All Our Hidden Gifts by Caroline O'Donoghue. Oh, I'm quite glad with that one. I saw her at Yauk and she was absolutely delightful. So I really want to get to her books. And then the final book for March was a manga called Flying Witch Volume 1. And I did read it and quite enjoyed it. And then the final set of books are the April TBR. So we have The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, which if you've been following my channel, you know that I read this, I annotated it, I loved it, I gave it 5 stars. Then The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is a non-starter, I have not read. Then we have The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, which I have read. Lost Tales is a little graphic novel that I thought was really good for children, and I did read that. The Snow Song, Sally Gardner library book that I did not read. Then Rivers of London by Ben Aronovich, another library book that again I started, didn't finish, didn't read. So we have, I think this might be our final. No, I think I've still got one more to go. The Wedding Game by Megan Quinn, which was another one of those that I think I got off either Kindle Daily Deals or Amazon First Reads. The last few books for the April TBR, Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher, which was an arc I got, I haven't read. The Path to Kindness, another arc that I haven't read, I've started it, haven't finished it, and that's a collection of poetry. Lore Olympus Volume 1, I have read and I loved it and I have continued it on and I think it's brilliant. And then finally we have The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, which I have put on 3 TBRs now. Still haven't read it, but I will be getting to this in next month in the Magical Readathon. So that one brings me to another 3. So my final draw. Oh, Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson. That was quite good because I was catching up on some of Olivia from Olivia's Catastrophe. I was catching up on her videos last night and she said has a video on 5 reasons why you should read Vespertine. So that's a good reason to do it because I've got some motivation. Those are all of the books that I have and have not read, and the totals stand at 40 read, 24 unread, which I honestly expected that to be the other way around, but I suspect if I had included all the TBRs that I wrote but then didn't record, I probably would be on much more unread. And I've only DNF'd 3 books out of all of those, so I'm quite happy with that. Let me know in the comments below if you've done this kind of video, link it for me and I'll have a look because I think it's really interesting. I can't believe it's been, well, now it's technically been 3 years and 2 months. And that's just insane. I had a tiny little idea of I wanted to do YouTube. I then decided to do booktube. I got back into reading and I have so many ideas for the future. But yeah, thank you for being with me, whether you've been here for a day, a year, or from the very, very beginning. I have so much love for everybody, and I really can't wait to get into some of these books or forget to read them and gift many, many people. Well, I think there's 8 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Or gift up to 8 people a little extra something at Christmas. I hope you're all good. I hope staying safe, and until next time.